Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast, the Pewter Game Day show presented by Celsius, the official energy drink of PewterReport.com. Ladies and gentlemen, the Buccaneers are 2-0 to begin the season after winning their home opener by defeating the Chicago Bears by a score of 27-17. We're going to break down all of the game from start to finish, especially the way that this one ended. So I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joined with me are my fellow colleagues at PewterReport.com, Josh Capo, who was kind enough to do the Pewter Game Day show with me at the beginning and in the first half, and live from Raymond James Stadium, who saw it all firsthand, SR Scott Reynolds. Guys, many people doubted the Bucs this season, but they begin the year 2-0. Not a bad start.
It's a great start for this team. And when you look at the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles are coming into Raymond James Stadium also 2-0, it really makes for an exciting Monday Night Football game in just over a week. And I'll tell you what, if the Bucs defense can play similar to how they played today against the run, and I know that Justin Fields held on to the ball way too long, took way too many sacks, had too many bad reads as a quarterback. Jalen Hurts is a more accomplished and better passer, but he's not Dan Marino. He's not Patrick Mahomes. And I think that there's some opportunities here. If Tampa Bay can play as well against the run with the Chicago Bears today as they're going to against the Eagles, if they can put the clamps on DeAndre Swift and Boston Scott and really make Jalen Hurts beat them with his arm, that was the recipe for success against the Eagles the last time they played them here at Raymond James Stadium, and that was in a wild card victory for Tampa Bay. Now, the Eagles are a much better team since then, certainly on defense, and certainly Jalen Hurts has become a better passer. But there was a lot to like about this game that I think the Bucs defense can apply against the Eagles next week.
Yeah, I think that I think the defense may be a little bit better than most thought originally. Christian Izien, he's a dude. I'm ready to say it 2 weeks in.
Yep.
And I texted in our group chat early. It wasn't the interception that sealed the game. He's solid in coverage, and he's such a sound tackler. And I think that that's such a big part of what Todd Bowles wants to do on defense, to be able to rely on your nickel corner to be a good tackler. Ryan Neal is a good tackler. They've added some guys to really solidify, I think, the floor of the defense.
Yeah.
And after the first drive, when Bowles tried to blitz Justin Fields and it did not work, him saying, okay, let's trust the front four to get home. They got home early, often, 6 sacks. I think I did the math. They're on pace for like 76.5 sacks through two games in the season. You can take that to the bank, right? By the end of the season, that'll be exactly what it is.
Happy with 50. This defense has yet to get 50. That's the magic number. So, but I'm with you. I think, Matt, when you look at the pass rush here, it's not just one guy. It's not just Shaq Barrett with 19.5 sacks in 2019. There are a lot of guys that can get to the quarterback. And when you look at the sack distribution, Matt, you've got JTS leading the way with 2, Vita Vea with 1.5. You've got Cam Gill coming off the bench and getting 1. Shaq Barrett had 1 plus a pick 6. Logan Hall even had half a sack. It was originally credited to Yaya Diaby, but it ended up being half a sack for Logan Hall. So just a lot of pressure on Justin Fields, making his life miserable today. I know Todd Bowles said that touchdown drive in the fourth quarter, he made 2 really bad calls, apologized to the team, but the Bucs defense, the players bailed him out. Certainly that Shaq Barrett pick 6 was amazing. You know, I remember seeing Rondé Barber set up himself for a very critical pick 6, a more important one, because this was back in 2002 when the Buccaneers beat the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. But with the way you look at Shaq Barrett going inside and then having the presence of mind to say, Fields is in the end zone. I'm not just going to come right ahead and just rush him straight off the bat. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to see if he's going to go left or right. Oh, he's actually going to throw the ball. I'm going to get my hand up and pick it off. And I just thought great veteran play by Shaq Barrett there to really kind of set up that pick 6 for himself.
You had a fantastic question for Shaq to try and ask him to explain it. And I think it comes back to that's instincts, because when you asked him about it, Shaq said you remembered it a heck of a lot better than he did.
Yeah, and I think just to go back to the whole collaboration by everybody, this goes back to Todd Bowles in the beginning of training camp saying outside linebacker is going to be one of the toughest positions to choose from for everybody making this roster. And you saw it with Cam Gill making the big play. And Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, maybe one of his best games as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, that one sack where he just unloaded on Justin Fields, I thought he was off. I thought he was offsides at first because we've seen Shaq Barrett get penalized for that. It actually happened right around the goal line as well early on. But no, it was just perfect timing. Annihilated Justin Fields on the play. Vita Vea, not an outside linebacker, of course, but just absolutely dominant up front, just going to town on the interior offensive lineman for the Chicago Bears. I mean, this pass rush is just always going to cause an issue because even at the times when it's not working for the outside linebackers, that's when you blitz Antoine Winfield Jr., which obviously was way more successful last week, but you still have that in your back pocket if you want to. Devin White came nearly close to forcing a fumble on Justin Fields that they ruled an incomplete pass. So there are so many different tricks of the trade for the Bucs getting after the quarterback. And obviously Todd Bowles is the one pulling all the strings for it. So yes, Justin Fields helped out the guys here and there, but man, I mean, you got to be excited about what Tampa Bay can do as a defense getting after the QBs. And they've done well against mobile quarterbacks, keeping them in the pocket. I expect them to do the same with Jalen Hurts next week. It's keep the QB in the pocket and 17 points or less per game.
And let's not forget, they did all of this without their first-round draft pick, who they drafted to get after the quarterback. So you layer in Kalijah Kancey. Hopefully he returns to the field soon. And this could be the pass rush that Jason Light has been trying to build for a few years now, where it's not reliant upon Shaq Barrett to get 19 and a half sacks, but it really is. It's waves after waves. And that's where you see the truly elite defenses in the NFL right now. The New York Jets, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the San Francisco 49ers, all of them. It's, okay, here's our front four, which is amazing. And then here's our second version of the front four, which is also amazing. Have fun opposing offensive lines.
Yeah, and I think too, the beauty of how the Bucs have won these first two games of the season, they've protected Baker Mayfield, and when they haven't, Baker's been able to get out of some plays. He's been a little bit of a Houdini. He's been a magician in escaping some would-be sacks. So you've got the offensive line doing well enough to keep him upright where he's able to make some plays. And we saw some really good improvisation, some little shuffle pass, some underhanded throws just to get some positive yards. And so that was pretty incredible. But it's no turnovers again for this offense. This is the second week in a row the Bucs have protected the football and they've been able to get some takeaways. Granted, it was like really within the last 2 minutes that they got both of those today. But, you know, to your guys' point, Christian Izien, the ball seems to find him. And he's kind of Antoine Winfield-esque in that regards, where now the Buccaneers have several playmakers back there, right? We know Carlton Davis has a hard time catching the ball, same with Jamel Dean. But now they got two guys in Winfield and Izien who just the ball seems to find them. And I know it's way early, but I'm just going to say it. I mean, Rondé Barber had that trait. The ball just seemed to find him. And we'll see if Chris Izien continues to be a ball magnet. And certainly Antoine Winfield, we know, is maybe not every game, but he's going to make a factor. And I'll tell you what, that massive hit that he had, well, one hit caused Chris Izien's interception. But then there was another one that would have been a huge completion to Cole Kmet. And he just came in and put his shoulder right into Kmet and forced an incompletion. So now you're seeing the Bucs defense have playmakers up front that can get after the quarterback, and then guys on the back end that can take advantage of that pressure and come up with the ball.
And also, there was a lot of questions about the Bucs' depth, you know, going into the regular season at certain positions. And obviously that depth was questioned today with Kalijah Kancey not playing at defensive tackle and obviously Carlton Davis not available at cornerback. And the Bucs checked both of those boxes just in terms of yes, the Bears are a worse opponent that they should beat, but they can get away with playing some of their backup guys in a needed situation, not because, we want to get these guys some looks. And I thought that was important for Tampa Bay to prove that you can win without even your biggest studs on the defensive side of the ball, and still made some big plays. I thought Zion McCollum was, pretty good out there today.
Yeah.
He was very solid. He did not let up big plays. I actually think he played Chase Claypool better than Jamel Dean. Dean had, I would say, a second rough game in a row, but McCollum was steady Eddie out on the edge and almost had his first career interception in the regular season on a very good. I mean, McCollum's hands are actually really good. He's just been a little unlucky in terms of where he's been placed on some of those.
Yeah, he almost had the interception today.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. And speaking of Dean, it looked like he was cramping up at the end. As Young says, the Bucs says, seemed like the heat was wearing on both teams. Yeah, that's a factor. I mean, it was hot today. 103-degree heat index at kickoff, 89 degrees. But I mean, you can just take that. It's 89 is 89, but it's 103. That's what the feels like temperature is on the field. And I thought the Buccaneers very well-conditioned team. I mean, we saw Vita Vea play most of the game. I'm going to be curious to read your snap counts, Matt, tomorrow morning to see how many snaps Vita Vea played. But it just seemed like this dude was fresh in the fourth quarter to come away with getting his sack. Now he has a sack and a half on the season. He also took Justin Fields' hat as a souvenir on that play, which was nice. Had to give it back to him, of course, But Vita Vea was a beast today, and just the stamina that he's shown on a very hot day was impressive. Rick Stroud and I were talking about that after the game, where it just seems like in years past, Vita's kind of been on a pitch count because of his size, and now you're seeing Vita just be an every down presence, just about. It's like when the Bucs need him, Vita's there, and he comes through with big plays against the run and now the passer.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks in a row because last week, remember, Vita chased down a screen from about 30 yards and chased a running back down. So the conditioning has it's been a really welcome sight here early in the season.
We have a super chat from Austin Glaze. Thank you so much to Austin for the $10 super chat that says, national media's take on us being a bottom 3 team in the league looks worse by the minute. That Shaq pick 6 felt so good. Thanks for all you guys do. LFG Bucs. Thank you, Austin, for the $10 super chat. Yeah, I don't think anyone on this team is more deserving of making that big play than Shaq Barrett based on everything that happened to him this offseason. And, Shaq had been saying for a while to everybody, like, as far as his Achilles goes, I'm back. I'm ready to go. I thought he had a solid first game against Minnesota. And I think he said it best in his post-game press conference where he's like, yes, I felt good. Maybe my stats or whatever didn't show it in the first game, and I needed kind of some of these big plays to pretty much everyone to stop talking about it. And Shaq showed up today in so many different ways, not just getting after the quarterback, but making that crazy athletic play. It immediately reminded me of, because they're playing the Eagles next week, the interception he had on Jalen Hurts. Right. Granted, a little bit of a different situation, but the interception he had on Jalen Hurts in the playoffs in 2021. And Shaq seems to just always be around for a big moment. Like, he's had a couple interceptions in his career. I remember even with his first season with the Bucs, he had one because I was at the game in LA, the one in 2021. Shaq is just a ball player. Like, he gets it done in so many different ways. He's not just I'm going to pass rush and that's it. He does a little bit of everything, and that's why everyone loves him.
Matt, you're right. And how many times did we see in the offseason, George Edwards, the new outside linebackers coach for this team, he did more pass drop drills than we've ever seen any pass rush coach do. Because in the offseason, when it's flag football, when it's OTAs, and you can't really hit anybody, right? The trench guys, they just kind of stand there at the snap because it's flag football. It's basically cornerbacks versus DBs, or DBs versus receivers and tight ends. And so I credit Todd Bowles and George Edwards for just constantly drilling these guys over and over again with their pass drops. So they're looking for the ball. If they can't get to the quarterback, They're dropping back. They're looking for the ball, as you said, Matt, and perfectly. We've seen these types of plays from Shaq before. This is not something new. He can do this, but to constantly drill it the way that they did the entire offseason, even started training camp. That was the first drill we saw Shaq Barrett do. In his first practice back, the very first practice, he's sitting there dropping back, and we looked at each other and we're like, "What? Shaq's back?" I mean, he's turning and planting and dropping in coverage, for 15 minutes straight. They were doing that to start practice. So, I'll tell you this right now: Shaq Barrett's not going to be the only outside linebacker that's going to have an interception this year. We even saw Anthony Nelson get one in that Jets practice up there, that joint practice, and I would suspect we're going to see Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, Anthony Nelson. We're going to see another outside linebacker or two come up with another interception this year.
Joe Tryon-Shoyinka is a top 3 outside or edge player in the NFL in coverage, period.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah.
Now, how much that's worth, how many defensive coordinators actually put some worth on their edge guy dropping? Todd Bowles may be the only guy, so there may not be a market for it, but he is fantastic at it. And you saw them doing it.
And Josh, you're right. I mean, Todd Bowles does favor that and factor that. Remember, in his Pro Bowl season, missing some fingers on his hands. Jason Pierre-Paul had 2 interceptions. In that Pro Bowl year in 2021. So, or actually 2020 was the Super Bowl season, I believe. So, yeah, I mean, it's something that's important to Bowles and George Edwards, and you saw here as early as week 2 it paying dividends.
We have a super chat from Desert Dog 2K. Thank you very much for the $10 super chat. And for you, hook 'em horns. Based on his career thus far, although Baker Mayfield wouldn't want us to say this, hook 'em. How surprised are you that Baker is playing like this with no turnovers? Parentheses, no jinx. Yeah, that's the other side of this. We haven't talked about the offense much. We will, obviously.
Yeah.
But another game with no turnovers from Baker Mayfield. We talked a little bit about his scrambling magic. I saw a lot of Steve Young running around all over the place when Baker Mayfield was.
That's a great point.
Yeah, was avoiding the sack and everything like that. But Baker also did throw it away a couple of times. He had that one, I think it was his first throw of the game that was nearly picked. But outside of that, not even really remotely coming close to putting the ball in harm's way. The closest call was when David Wells fumbled it, but who was Johnny on the spot? Baker Mayfield recovering the fumble. So am I surprised by it? Sure. I would say a little bit I'm surprised at what Baker's been able to do. But he's also at a different point of his career, and he knows that he can be replaced. It's not like he's the number one guy anymore and everyone's all in on him. No, they'll go to Kyle Trask in a second if they don't think Baker's performing. And he's performing pretty well so far.
Josh, Matt, let me get your reaction to something here. Just based on what you're saying there, Matt, it's almost like Baker Mayfield is the kind of guy who likes to challenge. He likes to be challenged. And it's almost like Dave Canales has challenged him. And it's a mandate, whether it's him or Kyle Trask or whoever's behind center, right? It's don't turn the ball over, right? Or anybody in offense, for that matter, that has the ball in their hands, don't turn it over. But it almost seems like this is Baker versus Baker, right? And when you have truly great competitors, now I'm not saying that Baker Mayfield's Michael Jordan or LeBron James or anything like that, but those elite competitors, regardless of their talent level, and Baker's not at that level, but I think we can safely say he's an uber competitor. The guy's very competitive guy. And it's almost like this is the perfect competition for himself. It's Baker versus Baker. Baker, don't turn the ball over. I got it, Baker. We're 2-0 and no turning the ball over here in the past 2 weeks. What do you guys think about that? Am I on the right track?
I could see it. I think that the narrative around Baker's turnovers is a little misplaced. I've written about this, during the off season. You go back to 2020, which I think is the most indicative of his play and the most fortune telling, if you will, for the rest of the season. His turnover worthy play rate was about 3.5% on his throws. He'll get one for the play that Matt pointed out, right? The very first throw. He'll get a turnover worthy play on that, which means he's got 1 in 68 pass attempts through 2 games, which is 1.5%, which would be one of the best rates in the NFL. I don't think that's sustainable.
Yeah.
I definitely think he can hit the 3.5% from 2020, which was, I think, a career mark for him. And maybe even improve that a little bit, which is more than okay. It'd be top half of the league for the NFL. Where Baker's narrative has come around is he's been a little unlucky in terms of how many of those turnover-worthy plays were actual turnovers. So where he's making the same mistakes, or maybe he's been about league average in terms of those mistakes that he's made. His just happened to have been turnovers, actual turnovers, more than others around him in terms of rate. So I think that we could see an improvement over his best season, maybe 3.2%, 3%, which is more than enough for the offense to be effective. And I do think that this is a slightly different Baker. He's taken the checkdowns. He's playing in structure better than I've seen him in the past. He's got all the out of structure stuff that, you like in terms of the high end, and he's made good decisions in terms of the out of structure stuff. I tweeted during the game, I'm pretty sure he just rubbed himself down with Crisco today to avoid some of those sacks. There was one where the guy literally just slipped right off of him. So I can see him improving the narrative around him. And I think that he is that type of guy to what you've spoken about, Scott, in terms of, you tell me I can't do it. Oh yeah, watch this.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say to answer Scott's question. Is Baker is an all-time spite guy. If he feels wrong by you, he's going to come back at you 10 times even harder. So whether it's the national media saying the Bucs aren't going to win at all this season, whether it's everyone expecting Baker Mayfield to throw the interceptions and, be out. I'm sure Baker saw some of the stuff that Houston Astros fans were saying about him when he took a shot at the Houston Astros during the week. And everyone's like, oh, that's why you're a journeyman quarterback. That's why you're not going anywhere. I'm sure Baker saw that. Exactly. It's more fuel for him. He wants to prove them wrong, but it's also kind of proving it to himself too. And I think the best example of that was right towards the end of the second quarter when he scrambled again. He got out of bounds, but he got hit, and they threw the unsportsmanlike conduct or whatever it was. He got right back up. He went right in that defender's face and started screaming at him. And that's just kind of how Baker is. And then you saw how he played, at least especially in that third quarter with the touchdown to Mike Evans. He's fueled by spite and hatred, and I respect the hell out of it.
Speaking of fuel, Matt, I mean, we've got some fuel here at Pewter Report that we heavily endorse, and of course is the Celsius brand, whether it's Cosmic Vibe, Lemon Lime, Sparkling Orange, or any of the flavors. Matt, tell us all about Celsius.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Celsius has such a variety of flavors. You can't go wrong with any of them. The newest flavor is the Cosmic Vibe, which is a sparkling fruit punch. But as you see, there's also the sparkling lemon lime, the orange, the cucumber lime. Arctic Vibe is my personal favorite. Can't go wrong with the Oasis Vibe either. No sugar, no post-energy drink crash or jitters that you may get with another product out there. So if you haven't had Celsius yet, I cannot recommend enough that you go out and buy it and try it. It's also the official sponsor of the Pewter Game Day show. If you go to the Celsius website on their store locator, you can punch in your address and it'll tell you the closest geographical location where you can pick one up, whether it's your local, your Walmart, your Target, your 7-Elevens, your health and fitness stores, or your bodega. And after you keep going to your bodega and you love Celsius energy drinks and you want more of it, that's when you go to Amazon, click on the subscribe and save, and you can have Celsius sent to your residence whenever you want, every week, month, quarterly, yearly. You set it up, so it's all on your terms. Just make Celsius your number one pick. Celsius, the official sponsor of the Pewter Game Day Show, Pewter Report Podcast, Pewter Post Game Show, and PewterReport.com. We have another super chat to get to real quick. Appreciate all the super chats we've gotten from the Pewter people today. We actually have two. I lied. I'm so sorry. We have two super chats to get to. First one from Big MGM, like those initials, because I got the same ones. Big initial guy now saying AWJ, meaning Antoine Winfield Jr., still remains as one of the most underrated safeties in football. Yeah, I really hope Antoine Winfield Jr. starts to get more national recognition for his play. While he may not have had a turnover today, he's still flying around everywhere. And Scott, you already pointed out, but the two plays he made, knocking the ball out of Cole Kmet's hand, and then obviously setting up the big PBU for Christian Izien to get the interception. That was Antoine Winfield Jr. returning the favor from when Mike Edwards knocked the ball loose in the Super Bowl. and Antoine Jr. got the interception. He's finally paying it forward by helping out Christian Izien with that one. So, and the next one by Meets McGee. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Back on Baker Mayfield discussion. Baker has matured, but this is the second week in a row that we left 14 offensive points on the field. But I love what I see. They will continue to grow. Yeah, the offense by any means was not perfect. They struggled in the red zone quite a bit. I also thought fourth quarter, when they really had that chance to close the game out, they had at least 2 drives where they either went 3 and out or it's a very quick drive. And you know, they had their foot on the throats of the Bears and weren't able to close the game out. Now, the Shaq Barrett interception pick 6 really masked a lot of that because you're kind of forgetting it. But what do you guys think of the offensive performance, especially in that fourth quarter?
Well, the fourth quarter, to me, it seemed like once they had a 10-point lead, and as much as I praised Todd Bowles for not being conservative last week, it seemed like they were playing not to lose at the end. It seemed like they were comfortable, and they kind of settled in a little bit offensively and defensively. But I don't know. I mean, I can't fault this offense. This is week 2. This is the second game with all the starters together, right? We saw a bunch of explosive plays from Mike Evans. This offense totaled 437 yards. Granted, the Bears defense, as we talked about ad nauseum during the week on the Pewter Report podcast, I'm sure you guys mentioned on the Pewter Game Day pregame show, the Bears do not have a pass rush. They had 1 sack last week, no sacks today. The Bucs offense converted 53% of their third downs, 8 of 15. That's really good. And then you throw in the 437 yards of offense. You saw more balance today in terms of rushing attack, and with the Bucs running for 120 yards, 3.5 yards per clip. That could probably be increased a little bit. We saw a better day from Rachaad White. I'm not sure where his ceiling is, but it was a better performance, statistically speaking, production-wise, than it was last week. 73 yards and a touchdown. Baker Mayfield, very efficient, 26 of 34 for 317 yards. Hit a couple of bombs to Mike Evans, including one for a touchdown, one for a 70-yard catch and run. I like where this offense is, except for the red zone, right? They need some work there. There is some validity to the fact that they should have had more points on the board. But Josh, Matt, I don't know that the play calling was conservative, maybe at times in the fourth quarter, but I like some of the third and long calls that were actually converted by Dave Canales.
Yeah, I mean, 8 of 15 on third down, it's great. It's 1 game sample size. In the last 3 years, if you had to guess how many teams over the course of a season had a third down conversion rate of 50% or greater, how many teams do you think would have done that?
I don't know. I'm too old.
Yeah. Three in the last 3 years. The Packers in 2020, the Chiefs in 2021, and the Bills in 2022. That's it. So to expect that kind of third down conversion to be sustainable is probably
it's not sustainable. I just like the fact that I saw a lot of progress from week 1 to week 2.
Yep,
and
I'll give them that. I like the
more yards
overall,
better third downs. Just need some refinement inside the red zone and more touchdowns and not as many field goals. I think if they play this way offensively, it's not enough to beat the Eagles.
Nope.
On Monday night. They're going to have to put 10 more points on the board by themselves offensively.
Yep.
To have a chance of beating the Eagles.
100%.
We should have known they were going to be pretty good on third down because that's all Dave Canales said during his not all he said, but his Thursday press conference. It came up.
Right.
Like, I'm excited. Put in some great stuff on third down, and obviously they were great on third down. We got another super chat.
Just one thing before you get to the super chat. There were some curious things. I think, Scott, you kind of hit the nail on the head in terms of saying there were times where you're kind of scratching your head. The one that stands out in my mind, after a holding penalty, 1st and 19, inside zone run from shotgun, sets up 2nd and 17. Another run sets up 3rd and 8. That made no sense to me. The back-to-back runs from deep in their own zone, well behind the sticks. That was a little curious, and I'd love to get Canales' reasoning for that when we get him next week.
Bucs Basement with the $4.99 super chat. Appreciate you, Bucs Basement. Thanks. Says, as much as I want to believe the hype on this team, I need the Bucs to do this against teams that have actually won a game this season. That is true.
Great point.
The Bucs combined opponent score record is 0-4. Granted, we're only 2 weeks into the season, and I'm kind of getting a similar feeling to the 2019, I forgot what season it was. Maybe the 2018 season, whenever Ryan Fitzpatrick started and when Jameis Winston was suspended, and they went 2-0, and then they had a primetime game against another Pennsylvania team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that was the first time that the Bucs really ran into some trouble. And then next week they played the Bears, and all that crazy stuff happened.
I mean, I'll just say this: it's better to be 2-0 than 1-1 or 0-2. This team started off 2-0 last year with 2 very impressive wins on the road against Dallas and New Orleans, which were probably more impressive than these 2 wins against the 0-2 Vikings and now the 0-2 Bears, right? And we saw how that season ended. That season ended 8-9. They did win the division, but it kind of petered out, and it started in week 3 with a loss, a narrow loss at home to the Packers, and then the Chiefs came in and drilled the Bucs after the hurricane. And all of a sudden, they're 2-2, right? And there's a chance this team could be 2-2 heading into the bye week. I'm not going to concede anything, and nor am I making predictions right now. But I'm just saying, at worst, they'll be 2-2, and that's a good thing. At best, they'll be 4-0, and maybe they'll be 3-1. But I will say this: there is something to be said about win the winnable games, and whether it's my Pop Warner teams, or I remember in high school, our football coach said, "You win the winnable games," right?
Yeah.
The games that should be W's, don't beat yourself, right? And take those. And then the games that are going to be close, let's find the edge and win those. And then the games where we're overmatched, let's see what happens. Let's give ourselves a slugger's chance. Let's protect the ball. Let's try to get some takeaways and try to do what USF almost did right here at James Stadium yesterday against Alabama, right? They had a puncher's chance into the fourth quarter. So I like the fact that, and we've seen whether it's a narrow, come from behind win against a bad Jets team a couple years ago, whether it was going to Chicago in 2020 and losing on Thursday night to a bad Bears team because they beat themselves. This team's not beating itself right now. So is that going to continue? I don't know. But right now, the formula for success is let's beat the other team, and let's not have the Bucs beat themselves. And they certainly did that enough last year, right? The Cleveland game comes to mind. But I don't know. I'm not going to say there's hype about this Buccaneer team. I'm just saying they're 2-0 because they've done enough to win these 2 games. And we've seen progress on both sides of the ball. And let's see how more they continue to progress and where the ceiling is for this team. I don't know where it is right now.
Yeah, I like to look a little bit beyond the record, and you talk about what were the question marks before the season, right? The question marks were Baker Mayfield's turnover proneness. He hasn't been that turnover prone, right? Question mark around the offensive line. The offensive line has been better than I think even the harshest critics or the most optimistic fans expectations. Baker he's been sacked once in 2 games, right? They didn't get him down today. So the nickel corner spot looks to be, not a weakness. The depth in the secondary is a little concerning still, but Zion McCollum equated himself really well. So the pass rush was better than expected. So all of these things, all of these components to people thinking that the Bucs were going to be not good, they're all inching in the right direction. Now, there's one other thing that has creeped up, which is the red zone execution, the penalties, things like that. Those are typically fixable things. I think some of the red zone execution is Dave Canales has called all of 2 regular season games in his career. And I think if we go back to the tape, I'm expecting to see some calls where I'm like, there was probably a better play there, right, for him to get to. And then the execution from the players has to improve a little bit. That's something that is one of those things where you say that's fixable. Like that's legitimately from a process standpoint fixable. And if that's the case, then you're working with something. And if you assume the Bucs original, they were over under on their wins this year was 6.5, which is like a 383 winning percentage. You apply that to the next 15 games, and they have 2 banked wins now. They've moved that line from 6.5 to 7.7, right? If you add in, they're probably a little bit better than the original 383. Now you're looking at 8 wins, maybe 9 wins as their true talent level. They're moving the needle in the right direction.
Yeah. And if the Bucs were to improve in the red zone, that'd probably help if you pick some of the Bucs players in Underdog Fantasy with their pick'ems, which is one of the funnest things to do each week. Josh Capo and I are going to talk about our big days with Underdog Fantasy after this. But for the pick'ems, you just choose higher or lower on the stats of at least 2 players. It's got to be 1 per team. So in this case, Bucs and Bears. The more you bet, the more times of a chance of winning you have. So if you want to bet 3 players, you get 3 times the winnings. Of course, if you want to put some insurance on it, if you don't hit all 3, you can still win. But Underdog Fantasy, they got great events throughout the season, whether they got a regular season pool, they got a playoff pool, the rivals, the pick'ems, so many great different games to play at Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code Pewter, that's PEWTER, to get a first deposit bonus with pewterreport.com. I got a show every Friday, Pewter Picks and Props. My picks this week were higher on the passing yards for Justin Fields at 175.5 and higher than 208.5 passing yards for Baker Mayfield. Baker blew it out of the water with his performance throwing the football. Justin Fields did hit it later on in the fourth quarter, so I was a double winner with my player prop. I also had the Bucs -3. That hit. The over of 40.5. That hit. And anytime touchdown, Rachaad White. That hit as well. So I was 5-0 on my Bucs picks this week. Not to mention 2-0 the week before with the Bucs spread and the over/under, and 2 out of 3 with my player prop. So I'm giving you winners, winners, winners. Can't wait for next week's show to give you more picks. Josh Capo, you had a great day as well.
I did. I went with a 3-pick. I took on the Bucs side, Rachaad White higher than 54.5 rushing yards. He hit 73. I had on the Bears side, Roschon Johnson getting over 23.5 rushing yards. He did all but half a yard of that on a single run, ended up with 32. And then I picked Justin Fields to throw more than half of an interception, and he hit that very well in the fourth quarter for me. So I got all 3 of those, and I was a very happy camper on my Underdog picks for the day.
Love to see it. We got a
Speaking
couple
of
more
money
super chats to get to. Yeah. Appreciable Assets LLC. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat that says these blind bootleg plays into the defender are going to deplete the Bucs quarterback stable.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you have to give some props here to Baker's escapability, right? He's shown the ability to duck some of those. You can't duck them all, and there's going to be some where he's going to get creamed probably. And you just have to hope that he's stout enough to rebound, from some of those hits. So it's part of this offense. There's no escaping it. The blind bootlegs, the rollouts, and all of that. Those are Dave Canales staples. Salty Buck, Buccaneer, $4.99 super chat. Baker making good on the historically lowly Bucs is poetic. Everyone counted us out and never gave us a chance. Real ones knew, though. Still a long season. It's a great start for Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. We're 2 games in, 15 more to go, right? And I'm not trying to dampen the enthusiasm here. I'm just trying to keep it real a little bit here,
right.
Buccaneer fans. They started off 2-0 last year, and they finished 8-9. So let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, they don't even have like the lone hold of the NFC South, right? The Atlanta Falcons are also 2-0, which sets up for that could be a really good game here in a few weeks. However, I can't help but think if this was the NFC Central, they'd be in really good shape right now. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, this is an interesting stat here. Tom Bucs fan says the Bucs Super Bowl years in 2002 and 2020, the Bucs had wins 6-0 versus losing teams in 2002, and they were 9-0 against losing teams in 2020. Imagine that. So yeah, that kind of speaks to my point. Don't stub your toe and lose winnable games. Win the winnable games. Get the the cupcakes, the easy. There's no easy games. I don't want to be disrespectful, but this was a winnable game, right? I won 30 large on the Bucs on my bookie today, and just before you think 30 large is 30 grand, it's not. I didn't say 30 grand. I said 30 large. When you have 4 kids and a wife, 30 large is $30. Okay, so I said large, not grand. So don't come at me with, oh my God, Reynolds won $30,000 today. No, I didn't. I won $30, and I'm happy about it. So
speaking of large, we have gone way too far into this show without speaking about the gigantic performance that the greatest offensive player in Buccaneers history, Mike Evans, had today. I mean, the yards after the catch alone was incredible by Mike Evans. The touchdown catch he made on a 3rd and 14 after the fumble by David Wells was, just an outstanding performance from Mike Evans. We all know the contract extension story with him. Last week it was Devin White, who obviously wants a lot of money.
Yep.
This week
right.
it's Mike Evans showing that he is deserving of a lot of money.
Yeah, 6 catches, 171 yards, 28.5 yard average, and a big touchdown. So that's that's a good day at the office for a guy that wants another payday. And I tell you, we've seen Chris Godwin be a steady Eddie, but Mike Evans has been the guy that has the touchdowns on the board so far. And remember last year he had 6 on the season, and that was coming off a year in 2021 when he set his franchise record at 14 touchdowns. So right now, Mike Evans is on pace to get 17 touchdowns this season. Mm-hmm. Not that he will, but it's a heck of a start, Matt, for a guy that is in a contract year and wants to get paid big money from the Bucs or somebody else.
We had a commenter during the show. I apologize who it was because we have so many great Pewter people. And he was like, last week was a preseason game for Mike. This is the regular season, Mike, with what he did today. And we saw Mike Evans flourish in Dave Canales' offense with getting the yards after the catch. The one where Baker was scrambling to the left side and Mike jumped, made the catch, and stayed in bounds. And then the spin move on the defender was a sight to behold. I had never seen Mike make a play like that.
No, I saw a tweet from Trevor Sycamore. He said he thought Mike had more yards after catch this game than he did like all of last year. And it got me thinking. So I went back into the PFF archives. Previously, his yards after catch high in a single game was 70 yards, week 9 against the Giants in 2015, his second year in the league, right? He got 73 by my unofficial count on his 2 big yak plays, right? The 70-yarder, which I think was a career high for him, and then the spin move that Matt just noted. I'm going to peel back the curtain a little bit, Scott. I hope you don't mind because I know you said the Pewter Report chat. It's the chat. We keep it pretty private. But I texted in the Pewter Report chat after the 70-yarder that, or maybe it was after the second one. I can't remember, but basically it was after the second big yak one. Mike Evans for most disappointing. When you have 2 big yak gains like that, you have to score a touchdown. I followed it up with something like, he's a geriatric old man, doesn't deserve $28 million. Now, all of that in jest, right? It was very, very much joking. And I'm starting to see the benefits of the edit button for X Twitter because you have an edit button in our chat. And if you go back and look at those texts that I sent, they now read Evans for most impressive, best game of his career. He has found the fountain of youth. You pay a guy like that $28 million a year on a lifetime contract because he will never decline. So thank goodness for the Pewter Report chat edit button.
Super chat here from Salty Buccaneer, Matt.
Yeah. Thanks for the $1.99 super chat. Says Mike tied Megatron, AB, and Brandon Marshall at 83 career touchdowns. Well, congrats to Mike Evans. He's going to get a lot more this season, and we'll surpass them.
I'll tell you what, congratulations are in order if you are buying a house from the Eric Gross Group. And I'll tell you why, because if you're purchasing a house from the Eric Gross Group, it means you've got tremendous value. It It means that Eric has gone to bat for you to get you the absolute best price that he can. And, when you do business with good people, good things happen. And that's what can happen when you choose Eric Gross and the Eric Gross Group, which is the official Realtor Pewter Report, to buy or sell your house. You need a pro in your corner, and Eric Gross is that pro. With hundreds of transactions in this crazy real estate market, especially here in the Tampa Bay area, where Eric is not only a Tampa native, his father is stationed in MacDill Air Force Base, but he's also an avid Pewter Report reader, and he's probably watching this Pewter Report podcast right now. Whether it's the market knowledge, the top-notch communication, commitment to excellence, that's what sets the Eric Gross Group apart, and that's why they're the official Realtor Group of Pewter Report. Whether it's the 85,000 agents in the eXp Realty force or their strong team of vendors, the Eric Gross Group will turn your dream of buying or selling a home into reality. Their clients are not just transactions, they're lifelong friendships. So don't let the stress of buying or selling a home keep you out of the game. Go to housesinfla.com. That's their website, housesinfla.com. Make sure you check out their inventory. It's a great website. Let the Eric Gross Group take the pressure off. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Eric Gross Group. Or again, check out housesinfla.com or give Eric a call at 513-907-4271. No matter where you are on your home ownership journey, you're going to feel welcome with the Eric Gross Group, the official Realtor of Pewter Report.
I also want to give a quick shout out to Cade Otton in the passing game this week. I don't think it would be enough to get a Manscaped game ball, but he was a nice little extra option for the Buccaneers in today's game. Just, 6-7 yards over the middle, made the catch, started heading up the field. A nice security blanket for Baker Mayfield when other things were breaking down or if Chris Godwin and Mike Evans weren't open. So it's good to see them try to finally establish something with Cade Otton. He actually got a target in the first half. That doesn't happen. He used to only be a second half guy, but got some opportunities. And he went gloveless again. He's back to being barehanded. I'm very curious as to why. But I thought Cade Otton, it's only been 2 games, but it was really good to see his impact in the passing game today.
Yep. Speaking of impact, and you set it up perfectly, Matt, when it comes to game balls, we're going to hand them out here, courtesy of Manscaped. But folks, when you need some impact in your ball sack, Manscaped is the place to go to get your balls looking and feeling as nice as possible. And we're in the middle of fantasy football season, so attention, fantasy football fanatics, as draft season approaches, don't neglect the most important draft picks of all, your game balls. We all know how injuries can ruin a season, so let Manscaped take care of that Reggie Bush of yours with their skin-safe technology. That should guarantee you have a smooth ride into the playoffs. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming have created a championship lineup with their Performance Package 4.0, and it's time for you to do the same. Join the 9 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for kickoff each week by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping. When you buy with our Pewter Report code, which is Pewter20, you're going to save 20% off and get free shipping for the Performance Package 4.0. It includes the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, which, trust me, I use that now that I'm in my 50s, Crop Preserver, Ball Deodorant, Crop Reviver Toner, Performance Boxer Briefs, and a travel bag. So, again, go to manscaped.com and use the promo code Pewter20, and that'll save you 20% off any of your purchases, and you get free shipping with that promo code. It's time to put the PP back in PPR and get a grip on your pigskin this season with Manscaped. All right, having read all of that, let's dish out some game balls, shall we? Now that our balls are nice and ready to be grabbed and given out.
Matt, go first.
Go ahead, Matt.
All right. I guess if I'm going first, because Josh is losing it, I'm going to go with the guy that sealed the game. I got to go with Shaq Barrett. All the turmoil that went on for him during the offseason. To have a big sack today, just a menace on the pass rush, and then that crazy athletic play, which also got the over in the game and made sure that the Bucs covered the spread. From that aspect of it, I'm giving Shaq Barrett my game ball. Tremendous job. Way to come back, and just so happy for him on a personal level too.
Yep. So I agree. I mean, that's a defensive guy, Matt. You know me, I'm a defensive guy. So I'm absolutely in favor of you giving a Manscaped game ball to Shaq Barrett. Certainly deserved it. You know what? He got his own ball today. Right? He got a pick six, which was the first of his career, and the first pick six, first defensive score for the Bucs this year. Let's give our second game ball out to Josh. Josh, who are you giving your game ball out to today?
Well, since
hold on. I know who it is. I know. We put the picture up. Okay.
70.
There you go.
Oh no, I thought you were going to put up a picture of Camarda for his 70-something yard punt. But yes, actually,
we don't have any pictures of Camarda, Josh. Sorry, we have to mix it up. We can't give Camarda the Manscaped game ball every week. Okay.
Right.
So
no, I got you.
I'm going to set you up with JTS pictures.
That is exactly who I was going to go with. Manscaped presents this. Manscaped is all about keeping your balls smooth, and I feel like JTS played silky smooth all day long.
Ooh,
2 sacks,
love it.
Crushed Fields, great run defense, helped set the edge, and I think that was the underrated thing that we didn't get to talk too much about with Shaq, with JTS, with Anthony Nelson, with Yaya Diaby. They were also disciplined in their rush lanes that Fields was not able to scramble out and really pick up yards with his feet. And I think four carries,
Josh, to your point, 4 carries, 3 yards.
Yep.
Justin Fields today.
Huge.
That's sensational. And the Bears as a whole, 67 yards on 16 carries. You look at that breakout run by Rashawn Johnson, your guy, 29-yard run. You take that away, he had 3 carries for 3 yards.
Yep.
And the Bucs just did a sensational job against the run. But to your point, JTS, I tell you, that second sack he had, this was the first sack right here. The second sack he had, to me, was his best pass rush I've ever seen from him. It was full gas. It was authority. It was beat the tackle, get around, and get the quarterback down.
Great bend, yeah. So for all those reasons, my silky smooth balls got tingly for JTS's silky smooth play.
Very good.
Yep, I don't blame you there. I'm going to go in a different direction here, and it's probably going to surprise you guys a little bit. I'm going to go with the guy that did a great job protecting his balls, and that's Baker Mayfield. I'm going to give Baker some props. I thought, and not just the fact that he didn't have any turnovers, no interceptions for the second straight game, passed for 317 yards, had 114.5 quarterback rating, got out of some sacks, but also recovered that fumble by David Wells. And actually that ended up being the Mike Evans touchdown on the next play, if my memory serves me correctly, or it was on that drive.
Yeah.
So
the next play.
Yeah. So great job with the balls, whether it's David Wells's balls or his own balls, throwing the balls to Mike Evans. Great job by Baker Mayfield. And as long as those balls get protected, I think the Buccaneers have a very good chance. I'm not saying they're going to beat the Eagles, but they've got a very good chance to show up, play good football, and see what happens on Monday night. I was not that impressed with Minnesota, right, on Thursday against the Eagles. We'll see what happens. I thought the Eagles certainly got the run game going, right? I think we can agree with that. But when you look now, the Bears have a much more potent rushing attack than the Vikings did. The Vikings don't try to run the ball. They don't have Dalvin Cook anymore. But, Matt, 67 yards, 16 carries, and they forced Justin Fields to throw the ball 29 times. In this game, up until the fourth quarter when the Bucs had a 10-point lead, the Bears could have run the ball. It almost seemed like they opted not to because this Bucs defense is so good, Matt.
Yeah, Josh, I don't know if you remember, but I said that early on in the game. I was like, the Bears have only run it I think you looked it up. They had only run it like 4 or 5 times. We were like, that's so odd. They didn't run it at all. And I understand sometimes going against the conventional wisdom of, the Bucs are game planning for the Bears to run it often. Let's just throw it. But not when you have no passing attack at all with Justin Fields. I mean, it was really just that one touchdown drive where it got going for them. So just a good job by the Bucs. Also, I just want to say other game balls, Mike Evans absolutely deserves
Yeah.
one. Vita Vea absolutely deserves one as well.
Yes.
If you want to throw Antoine Winfield Jr. or Chris Izien in there, they
Yeah.
deserve
Camarda.
recognition as well. And Jake
Camarda.
Sure.
Yeah. Listen, we're going to give Jake Camarda some props here. Josh is right. He averaged 52.8 yards per punt today. He had a career-long 72. His net was 47.8, and three of those were inside the 20, including that one that set up the Shaq Barrett pick six.
75% of his punts were inside the 20, and the other 25% was a touchback on a 70-something yarder. That is his EPA per play is going to be flipping skyrocketing.
Yep.
Yeah. We have one more. Oh, we have two more super chats. Just the quarter one just came in saying, "Thank you for the 99 super chat. Your balls tangent just cracked my son up with a couple of laughing, crying emojis." Hey, if there's any reason to watch the show, it's for the Manscaped ad read.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And you're right. And listen, with all sincerity, we all actually use Manscaped products because they ship them to us for free. Why wouldn't you think for free, right? We didn't pay for them. That's part of the deal, part of the endorsement deal. They give us the Manscaped, and I've never used Manscaped until I got the free one, right? Now, I don't have a free one to give you people. I don't. But I'm just telling you, I use it. It's a game changer. It's legit. I should have been using it. I shouldn't have been stingy. I should have paid money for it. And the great thing is with promo code Pewter20, you can save 20% off and get free shipping. So I highly recommend it and wholeheartedly endorse the product because I use it. And I think I speak for you guys, although I'm not about to check, but you can tell me if you use it or not.
They got great boxers too.
They do. I paid for it because before I was a Pewter reporter, I was a Pewter Report reader, listener, viewer. And based on the recommendations, I went out and purchased it. Well worth my money.
Yeah.
As we wrap up the show, shout out to Meets McGee for this $5 super chat who said, I lost out on my bookie. Rashad White plus 85 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. I guess that's what you bet on. But Baker, White, Mike, and the defense helped me with daily fantasy. So, hey, I mean, you win some, you lose some. Unless you made my picks, then you would have won it all. Or if you did Josh's picks, you would have just won those all as well.
Yeah. Make sure you're listening to Matt. This guy knows his stuff. And make sure you're checking out all of our great content, not just on pewterreport.com. We want you to go there right now and read all of our game coverage because we have more coming up tonight. A lot of great stuff from our writers on pewterreport.com. Follow us on social media at X, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, at Pewter Report. But we really want you to check out Pewter Report TV. Got my Pewter Pulse videos up there. Matt's Friday Pewter Picks and Props is a must watch. If you want to win some money, Matt has been on the money to start this season, plus the Pewter Report podcast, plus Pewter Game Day, all found on Pewter Report TV. Make sure you're subscribing to our YouTube channel. We're nearing 12,000 thanks to you, Pewter people. If you're not there yet, make sure you subscribe. It's just a button click away and join the Pewter people. Join the pack. And make sure you're liking our videos and leaving comments. We read the comments. We enjoy interacting with you guys. And it also helps our algorithm, helps us get in front of more awesome Pewter people like you guys, Matt. I know we have a Victory Monday on tap at 4 o'clock tomorrow, 4:20. We've got roll call. So make sure you're there tomorrow for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast.
Yep, that's going to do it for us on today's show. Another one at 4 o'clock. Roll call will be had, which is always fun. So until then, for Josh Capo, for Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Matera saying thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Bucs are 2-0. Peace out.
Yeah. We're 100 subscribers away from Pewter Report TV hitting 12,000. Thanks to you guys. Out.